don't remember like ever having a professor that I was like scorched earth. Like I was never that student. I was more like, was this a good use of our time? Like, is this lesson outdated? Or, that
Mm.
doesn't work. Or like if somebody has this accommodation, I don't think this lesson. See, that's how I knew I was going to be a teacher. I'm about that
I'm about that life, keep on trying. I'm about that life, never quit. I'm about that life, keep on striving. I'm about that life, keep on pressing. I'm about that life, keep on shining. I'm about that life, keep on dreaming. I'm about that life, never stopping. I'm about that life. It's a dream thing, y'all.
Actress, singer, performer, teacher. Today on About That Life, Sarah McGuire. Sarah, she's
Hey.
in the house. Yes,
Woo.
I'm so excited to have you on here. Thank you for being here.
Me
You look
too.
great.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I love it. I love the red lip with my red shirt. We're matching a little
I
bit. I love
know.
it. I just want to tell everyone how I know Sarah. I've actually known her for not that long. I think it's like maybe a year and a half to two.
Yep.
We met at an audition. She was introduced to me from someone I'd already previously worked with, Katie, right?
Yeah, Katie.
Yes, Katie Brown.
Shout out to
And
Katie.
yes, and it was like such a great meeting because I had my son with me
Yes.
at the audition. So it was kind of like it was like, hello, yes, I'm auditioning and I have this random child with me. I'm making it work. And Sarah was just so kind and just an amazing person to just meet right from the get go. And I was so happy that we've kept in touch. We've run into each other a few times at different
Yeah,
auditions. We're audition buddies now.
totally. Even
Just
now, I'm like, oh, I went to an EPA the other day and I was like, oh, I wonder if Taj is going to be here. And I was like, she's growing a human. She has different priorities right
yes,
now.
girl, I've had to step back. Sometimes I look at when the rehearsals are and when the show is going to
And
be.
you're
And I'm
like,
like,
nope.
I can't even swing that. That's too close to the due date. Like I just
Yep.
have to. You have to just bow out and sit out this time around.
Yeah.
But again, just a warm person, great personality, and I I talked to her originally at an audition about our training in acting,
Mhm.
and we decided that we needed to sit down and discuss our training and our education and the journey it takes to actually be a performer and a working actor. And so I wanted to talk with you about that today. But first, I want to hit on your credits as a performer. Right now, she is playing Calpurnia and Julius Caesars at Long Beach Shakespeare Company.
Yeah, we
She
open
is,
tonight.
yes, oh my goodness. She's a trooper. Gosh, thank you
Yes.
for doing all this on the day of your opening.
Yeah.
She was in A Christmas Carol with South Coast Repertory. She played Claire Brandt in 33 Variations at the Costa Mesa Playhouse. I love them.
Me
And
too.
she's also played Annie Sullivan in The Miracle Worker at Attic Theater. So a lot of theater background, and we'll probably be touching on that. What we really, really want to talk about, and that
Yeah.
is acting schools and if they're necessary, and what we gained as far as knowledge and wisdom, and if it was helpful when we went out to pursue our careers. Were
Yep.
you happy with the school that you went to? And first, please tell us what school did you
Yeah.
go to?
So I born and raised here in Orange County. I was very fortunate that I went to a high school with a really good performing arts program,
Mm,
and I was very involved in that program. Member of Thespian Society. I was thespian president of my troupe in high school. And so we got a lot of exposure, especially going into my senior year, about different conservatory programs, BFA programs and things like that. I ended up going to the University of California, Irvine, so I stayed local. And that decision was mainly financially motivated.
mm.
After I think I auditioned for 15 schools, which was way too many. And I know a lot of I know it was way too many.
Girl, 15.
It
Come
was
on,
it was insane.
dedication.
But I know high schoolers today where like that's their number two. And it's really hard to enjoy your senior year and prom and study for APs while, auditioning for that many programs. But once you finally get accepted and you start meeting with people and seeing the price tag, um, I decided that if there was a way to not go into a ton of debt for a performing arts degree, and then I could hopefully figure it out on the other side, like, okay, those networking opportunities, what can I do with where I'm planted? And then I'll go from there. So,
Mm.
and I do not regret that decision. I was very fortunate that I was able to be debt free in my 20s from my student loans. So that, and it put me in a better situation for continuing on and taking more classes, and what training did I want to invest in post college. But I was happy with my choice for my education. Yes.
15, man. I feel like I was so undedicated to find the right school to go to. I mean, I think I did like 4 auditions. Yeah, 4. One was bad. One was a bad
Oh,
audition.
I'm
You know, it
sorry.
was just bad.
Yeah, yeah, they
Oh my god, I
happen.
still think about that audition. No, like
Oh no.
if I had nailed this, I would have went to the I forget what it's called. I think it's in Cincinnati. It's one of the top performing
CCM.
schools. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I that audition was hard. That was one of the programs I also auditioned for.
It
And
was so rough. Oh
yeah,
my
oh, I'm
gosh.
so
So
sorry.
intense. No, no, no. It's fine.
It's
You
a
know,
great program. I
it is.
enjoyed my process
I
auditioning
was
for
like,
them.
I wish I had really killed this
Oh.
audition. But yeah, for me, I I love that I did go to AMDA. I do have slight regrets about not having gone to a 4-year university.
Mm,
Just to be honest, I do, because I missed that the opportunity of just getting away. I did obviously do that because I moved from Ohio to LA to go to this school, so I
okay.
did get away from my home and started, engaging in a different cultural background than what I was used to, because LA and Ohio are totally different.
Oh yeah, I'm
it's,
sure. Never been.
it's it's a total different like culture shock. So I was happy that I was able to get away and get some education, but I just wish I had done a 4-year university. Even if I had stayed in Ohio, I may have even tried to go to Ohio State University. I did get into Wright State University. So, but
Great.
I was like, I really want to go to an acting school where I can specifically focus on that. But I think in the long run, maybe going to a 4-year university and getting a minor in something else other than
Mhm.
just performing
Yeah,
would have been best for me. So I'll go into my experience later, but I want to start with you
sure.
as far as your experience at Irvine. What were the ups and the downs of it all?
I mean, whatever program you're going to go to is going to have pros and cons. And, it also depends on who the people are in your class and what's the talent and experience level, what's the gender ratio, where are the professors at in their career,
Mm.
how many professors are still, actively engaged in the industry, how many have committed to full-time education. Um, I would say I one of the pros was obviously the financial part of it all. One of the pros was it was not a cut program. So I did audition for some schools that had a cut program, and I loved those schools were so focused and they knew exactly the type of performer that they wanted to graduate. Like, this is how we're going to train you. This is going to be your package. This is why we think that'll get you work immediately. So I liked that aspect of those programs, but I just knew my psychology was not going to be able to handle a cut program. I wanted
Mm.
a lot more freedom. I was a very academic student, and I think my parents still had the hope that I would change my major and go into something more academic, um, which kind of ended up happening. I ended up double majoring in educational studies. So I finished my theater classes early and then stayed to get a double major. So I did have some sort of other academic degree that I
Come
graduated.
on, Sarah. Good planning. Good planning.
Thanks. Well, I ended up
Thanks,
going.
mom and dad.
Yeah, thanks, mom and dad. I ended up getting my teaching credential afterwards. So the fact that I was a double major saved me a ton of time. So I did like that UCI was very friendly if you had other interests. There were a lot of double majors in my program. Also, the program was very diverse in terms of like our performers versus our directors versus our technical theater kiddos. So it wasn't just musical theater 24/7. We had a lot of
Mm,
acting classes. We had a lot of stage combat classes, technical theater classes. So I did like that I got a very well-rounded theater arts education because I wasn't in like this is just musical theater, these are just BFAs kind of a deal.
yes.
So yeah, yeah,
As as far as your teachers go,
yes.
were they professionals that were working outside of teaching? Because some of my professors at AMDA, they were actually auditioning still while
Yeah.
they were teaching us.
I'd say it was about 50% when I was there. I know that different professors have come and gone and then in the 10 years that I haven't been there. Um, but most of my professors did have doctorates. Most of my professors, believe it or not, had an instrumentalist background. I would say, yeah, I would say the most of the professors that I had a personal relationship with were no longer working in the industry. I don't think that's necessarily, I guess it depends on what you teach, whether that is an absolute like, oh, if that's a red flag or not, if the professors aren't teaching. I will say now looking back, being in the industry, I was like, oh, that course might need a software update, or that teacher needs to know that maybe like that show is not considered politically correct and there's a vibe if you bring that song into the audition room now. I learned that one the hard way. So yeah, so I think, but those teachers have been out of the industry for quite some time, and
Mm,
yeah, I do think that there's some times where you do need a software update, or you do need somebody who's working currently in the industry, or their last professional show was within the last decade.
mm.
Yeah.
I actually had a teacher one time, they were late to class because they
Mm.
were coming from an audition.
Oh, good for
And
them.
and at the time that felt like, okay, I'm learning from somebody who's actually doing this.
Yes.
Because one thing I don't like is I don't like that saying where it says those who can't do teach.
I hate it. As an educator myself, I find it so offensive.
Right. Because like you gotta eat, like you gotta eat when you're not acting and when you're not booking. And
That's
like
true.
I will say though, some people should not be teachers. Okay,
Yes.
we're gonna get into that later about like teachers we did and did not like. If you're willing to
Okay.
talk about that,
Okay.
but like I feel like some teachers don't need to be teaching
Yeah.
because they are lacking the encouragement, the inspiration,
Mm.
providing inspiration
Hmm.
to their students. And I
Yeah.
had that a few times where I was like, I think you're just here to get bread. Like you're just making your bread here.
Yeah.
And and as a professional outside of training now, I understand that like when you're not working, you have to find a way to pay your bills.
Yeah.
And so I understand that's what a lot of people who have training in acting do. They just go off and teach. But some people really shouldn't be doing that. They should just find some performer job or something that they are really good at while they
Mhm.
pursue their acting career, because I feel like that's such a core aspect of who you are as a teacher, is to pass on the knowledge, not be stingy about it,
Yeah.
and encourage, like
Absolutely.
for the next
Absolutely.
generation. I think it's an admirable thing to be a teacher.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah. Yes. So, before we go into maybe the teachers that we did and did not like, and
Yeah.
those that have still inspired us in a way, how would you grade your overall experience at your school from 1 to 10?
Overall, or just like the teaching experience
Or
overall.
just everything. Yes.
I'd give it like an 8 out of 10. I'd give it
Okay.
like a B plus. Yeah, yeah. Like I encourage other people to apply to my alma mater. So I think
Okay. Good.
I think overall that means I
Yeah.
had a good experience.
No, that's good. That's really good. Yeah. What were your favorite classes to take?
Ooh, my favorite classes to take surprisingly were not the musical theater classes. I really loved my acting voice class. So like text
Mhm.
analysis and working with speech.
Yeah.
So my voice speech classes, those were amazing. And my favorite class was actually Biz of the Biz, believe it or not. But I had an incredible teacher. Like, that's the thing. Like, if you have a really good teacher, they can make like a so-so class, like the one you look forward to the most. So, yeah, I really enjoyed the Biz of the Biz. My professor thought very out of the box in the way that he taught the course, and it's stuck with me ever since.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
We had a career prep class
Yeah.
in the last semester, so we would have actual industry professionals come in, like specifically casting directors,
Yeah.
come in, have us read, and we would get some feedback. So it was nice, and
That's
and they would
awesome.
actually give us their information in case when we were out and graduated, if we wanted to
Mhm.
submit to them, in consideration. It was really nice. I liked that class. I liked my techniques class. There was a
Mhm.
class where it was all about like pretending that you have a cup in your hand and you don't really have a cup, and you got to like remember the weight of it. Does it have water in it?
Yeah.
How hot is it? All that stuff, because like you need it when you're actually doing it for real. And sometimes you got an empty cup on stage and you got to make it look like something's in
Hmm.
there.
Oh yeah, all the
Otherwise,
subtleties.
right. Otherwise, somebody's gonna be sitting in the audience like they don't really have nothing in that cup.
What?
You know, like
Yeah.
they should have just put something in that cup, because the actress, she's not believable. So I actually like that, but a lot of my classmates did not like that class because they found it very tedious,
Mm.
very
But that
tedious.
class is so important if you ever do like green screen work and, when you're acting to nothing or the back of somebody's head
Yes,
or a tennis
yeah,
ball. So it
yeah.
does have a good purpose.
Hey, thank you so much for watching this episode. It really means a lot. And you know what you could do to help me out even more? You can hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons down below. Now back to the episode.
We had a green screen moment too in
Yep.
our
Oh,
acting for
nice. I
film
did not.
class.
That's cool. I wish I took that class.
It was very funny to watch. It was funny to watch. Like, 'cause, in my school, we would watch our performances after we did them. We'd have to sit there in class with everybody else and dissect it and
Ooh,
evaluate.
it was rough.
Yes,
It was rough.
everything. So
Hmm.
doing the green screen like for the first time was hilarious, because we were like, where's the person at, like, that we're talking to? How tall are they? Like, and we were doing it sometimes without the tennis ball, as you said.
Yeah.
So it's that's a whole nother beast. Like, that's a whole nother mentality and exercising your body to do green screen.
Yeah.
Did you have to do at the end of every semester? Did you have to do evaluations of your professors?
Where we, yes, yes, I remember filling out surveys, but I don't think they ever went anywhere. I don't think anything was ever really taken into consideration.
I
I
don't think so
mean,
either. I do not think so either.
yeah, yeah. And I don't remember like ever having a professor that I was like scorched earth. Like I was never that student. I was more like, was this a good use of our time? Like, is this lesson outdated? Or, that
Mm,
doesn't work. Or like if somebody has this accommodation, I don't think this lesson. See, that's how I knew I was going to be a teacher, is like on my teacher
mm.
evaluations, I was thinking about like the lessons itself and how the class was structured instead of how the person actually delivered it.
I will say the teachers were the thing that really drew me in more than anything, because I was looking at these people who were actually professionals who were working. That was
Mhm.
what I loved about it. The overall administration, it was not very well ran, because again, it's 5 years young.
Yeah,
I'd be very interested to like see how things have changed now. I've driven past the campus a few times. I see externally what it looks like and how it's changed. But as far as the administration goes, that was the thing that for me, I was like, this needs to change. No, the teachers were the best part. And there were some teachers that did not push me in the direction of where I needed to be at that time,
hmm,
as far as like growth. I had to figure things out later. And that's why I
yeah,
think a lot of times people go, is it necessary to go to an acting school when you have a lot of actors who have made major career moves without having any training? You know what I
absolutely.
mean?
Hmm.
And I was talking to Shelley Denton. She was recently on Broadway with Smash. She was telling me that I don't think you always necessarily need to go to a performing school to have a successful career. You
Sure.
can take vocal classes, dance, whatever you need to make yourself a triple threat and ahead of the competition, but you don't always need to go to a school that's specifically just for performing. And I was wondering how you still maybe feel about that.
Yeah. I mean, I do. I think my education was a little bit more on the classical side, and now
Mhm.
being out in the industry, I feel like there's a lot of things that I've had to figure out on my own. I think a lot of it's just because the industry is moving so fast and changing so much. But there definitely were some stuff where I'm like, why didn't we learn this in school? So, yeah, I mean, honestly, there's definitely days where I look back and I'm like, crap, I should have just been a business major and like found the best voice teacher money could buy, the best dance teacher money could buy, and just audition. There was a season in my collegiate career where I was not getting cast in projects on campus. Like I was auditioning for things and professors weren't casting me in things, grad directors weren't casting me in things. And I had a friend who was like, why don't you just audition for local community theater? Like, you're not getting the educational experience of being in a show and what that's like, and you're paying for that. Like, you should go find it elsewhere. We're never going to get this time back. Go find it elsewhere. And actually, there were definitely times where I learned way more from doing community theater shows in the area than what I was actually learning in my classes or, in my workshop time in school. Yeah.
Hands-on experience.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like find the people that want to invest in you. And sometimes that
Right.
might not be your professor. That might be somebody
Mhm.
else. A mentor doesn't have to be a professor. It can be other adults that you find on the way.
Yeah. I mean, I've even heard that from Johnny Depp. Like he was saying that I have more hands-on experience than anything. Like
Yeah.
I had no idea what I was doing when I first started my career. It's so accurate. Like even with like all the stress about the headshots and all that
Oh
stuff,
yeah.
like in my career prep class, like they were like, okay, make sure your head's not cut off and make sure it's jeweled colors. And if you're
Oh,
gonna
the
wear
jewel
earrings,
tones.
yeah, the jewel
The
tones.
jewel
And
tones.
and if you're gonna wear earrings, it has to be like a
Yep.
little earpiece or whatever.
Hmm.
Like don't let it be some hoops and big. Don't wear a white shirt. Like just
Yeah.
all these
Instead of
different things.
like, what do you do if you get a call back for two shows on the same day? Like, what do you email the casting director? Like those are the things I wish we had learned.
Yes, all and make sure that resume is accurate and you're not lying. Like, of course, I mean,
Of
like
course, we're
that's
not lying. Yeah.
important.
I
That's
don't know of
important.
anybody who's lied on their
But right,
resume, but maybe I'm
right.
gullible.
People embellish a little bit, but
Yeah, yeah, for
they
sure.
do. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, just all that stuff. It better don't make sure it's not a black and white headshot because that's dated.
Never
And
seen one in my life.
this is an industry that, like you said, is always changing. And
Yeah.
especially right now. I mean, we
Yeah.
are in the day and the age of the social star.
Oh yeah. I don't know.
When I was starting at school, social media was like all you had was Facebook. Like MySpace was out the door. We
Mm.
didn't have Instagram yet.
Okay,
Like
I did, and people
you
were
did?
just
Okay.
sharing pictures of the food they ate. Like there were no influencers yet. It was a
Yes.
good time. It was a good
Right, I know. And part of me, at the time was like, I really wish I had jumped on YouTube way earlier. And
Yeah.
just played around and just was doing silly, stupid stuff because like whatever. Because a lot of those content creators, they have influenced the industry in such a way
Very
to
true.
make way for social stars and social influencers when Instagram finally came on the scene, and
Yeah.
then of course TikTok. And like at my school, they weren't talking about this because that was not.
That was not a thing yet.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I'd be interested if those are part of courses now, is like how to really, like they told us like you're gonna have to maybe write and you're gonna have to probably cast each other and stuff. Like they said that at school. But I wonder if that's something that they're talking about now, is that how to maybe
Yeah.
be a content creator, because that might be the only way for you to really get attention.
Yeah. I will say I have taught for the past couple of years, I have taught at a performing arts high school.
Hmm.
And there's not necessarily a focus on like social media skills and strategies because I think a lot of the teachers are assuming kids are learning that on their own just from how much content they're consuming. But
Right.
there is one teacher that teaches a branding course. So like
Mm.
how to stick out, like when, with all of these videos, what does your digital presence look like? What energy is being conveyed by your digital presence? So there is some, which I would have loved to take. I wanted to sit in on the class and be like, okay, I'm gonna update my website to look like that. Um,
Right.
yeah, I mean, I hope at the collegiate level they're doing more. At least like how to do a self tape, man, because that's something that I've had to invest a lot of money and time in
Mhm.
training post college, because that was something we never learned, and I think it was just starting to become a thing at the end of my college career. But yeah, I've spent a lot of my training post college in how to do a self tape. Yeah.
Because you're gonna have to learn how to do it now.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, you do. Yeah.
it is amazing how they didn't want that originally. They never
No.
wanted you to submit electronically. Now,
Yeah.
like if
Yeah.
you don't know how to do it, like
Yeah, you're self-eliminating for sure.
since you already gave your grading point on your school, I guess I'll give my school a grading
Yeah.
point. I'd give it like a 7.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, like 7.5. I'm being nice.
Okay.
7.5. It really was rewarding. I really was. So I want to give you a chance to maybe shout out some of the teachers that have meant so much to you, and you
Yeah.
still, whatever they said and whatever knowledge they passed on to you, it still plays in your head.
My education, it was kind of interesting because we had a grad program. So a lot of the really beloved teachers spent a lot of time with the grad students, and we would occasionally get little nuggets from them. Shout out to Cynthia Bassam, shout out to Eli Simon. My favorite professor is a gentleman named Don Hill, who was one of the professors who was working in the industry. And he was so good at understanding and communicating that this industry is a marathon and it's not a
Mhm.
sprint, and the fastest way to get to where you want is to be yourself and figure out
Mm,
who that person is and like run with it. So every piece of advice, every exercise we did in class was all structured back to what's your gut feeling? How are you going to plan around this? What are you going to do if this happens? What's the type of art that you want to make? How would you represent yourself in the room? And I kept the syllabus from his class, because he taught the biz of show business, and I have gone back to it multiple times. He even taught a class on support jobs
oh,
and
wow.
and what that looks like and how you build it. And one thing that really stuck with me, especially because I was double majoring and my parents were still hoping I'd, want to become a doctor someday, was that, there's no shame in having a support job. And even the best actors have support jobs. And it's not a plan B, like turning around and getting a license in something, or, putting your resume on Indeed. None of that is a backup plan. There's plan A part one, which is being booked and blessed. And there's plan A part two, which is when you're not being booked and blessed, because even the best actors and the most talented people have those seasons. So I really appreciated that he took away any shame or sense of failure in that journey. And then who would have thought I spent a good amount of time building up my support job. And then when COVID hit, I was fully employed. I didn't have to worry
Mhm.
about where the next paycheck was coming from. And I had a lot of friends who, were not working as an actor, and then their support job was not working either. And so I look back and I credit him. I was like, wow, I was able to sustain myself financially because I listened to his advice and I took some time away to invest in my support job. And I didn't have any shame about that. It was like, oh, it's plan A part one and then plan A part two, but it's all still plan A.
I love that.
Yeah, me too. He's great. He's
I love
wonderful.
this teacher.
Yeah,
Like,
he's
God,
amazing.
that's great, man.
Yes.
And that is some reality, but also like some inspiration in there. That is great.
Yeah.
That is so true.
Yeah. We had so many people in our program that and not every professor is your cup of tea. Like sometimes they, see themselves in you, or your approach to acting is the same. I mean, we're all humans,
Hmm.
and some people do have favorites. That was definitely my experience in my collegiate program and also in my high school program, that I rarely was in the group that the teacher was like, yes. Like I was rarely in the favorite group. And I vowed that when I became a teacher, I was going to try really hard not to have favorites. And it is hard because you connect with certain people, you vibe with certain people, and also some students are way more invested in your class than other students are. And it's hard not to want to invest more in that student because they're investing so much in your class. Um, but I would say Don Hill was my favorite teacher, and I was able to be mentored by him. And I kind of just zoned in on one professor and was like, you're how you move through the world is how I want to move through the world as an
Mhm.
artist. And I'm just going to be a sponge for you.
I would say that about my acting scenes teacher, Jim Bontempo. He was one of my favorites. He's actually one of the favorites overall. Like
Oh, go
I know, right? I
Jim!
don't know if he still works there, but I noticed on his Facebook, he's got a lot of former students just always showing him love because he just was amazing. And I remember even hearing that at the time when I was in school, that everybody's like, "Oh yeah, we love Jim Bontempo. Like, yeah, he's just great." And it's true. He was a really great teacher, and I could tell that he was pushing for me to succeed. You know, every
Yay!
time I got up to do something in class. Another teacher I would give love to was my voice production teacher. I liked that class too, as well as speech.
Yeah,
And
so much fun.
yeah, and like learning about the larynx and the glottal fry and
Oh
all that
yeah.
stuff. Like it was actually pretty fun to learn. Like just and I focus on that a lot of times when I'm talking. Just when I'm not acting, I'm like, okay, am I in glottal fry? But Ann Burke was her name. She was
Good
amazing.
name. Good
Yeah,
stage
I know, right? Yeah.
name.
And you know, one class that was definitely a class that I had to learn how to not allow if the professor did not appreciate me or my talents was improv. I
Oh,
yes. First
interesting
of all,
combination. Interesting combination.
no, right. Now that you know what I do outside, yeah.
Yeah.
I know it's crazy how I've evolved so much with the term improvisation. It used to just terrify me. I always just looked at it as this is what they do on Whose Line It Is anyway, and I want to do that, but I am terrified
Yeah.
that this scares me. The whole unscripted thing. However, I went into this class open minded because I was like, I have to take this class. Like, I won't graduate if I don't. And on the first day, the teacher was very reassuring. Like, this is going to be easy, no pressure. And then that all went away.
Yeah.
Like, it's so quick because every time we went into class, I was noticing that there was one particular student that was like shining bright than anyone else. And he
Mm.
had previous experience. He had like taken a workshop with Second City. Like, come on,
Okay,
Second
yeah.
City. Yeah. So he's already coming in with a level that's like, we all like, huh? Like, what we gonna add to what you're bringing? And I could see that on the teacher's face that he was starting to form favorites.
Mm.
And every time I would get up, I kind of see on his face, like, why are you up?
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
No, no, it's fine. It's fine. Like I said, this is all building to something, right?
Yeah.
So, but you'd be like, why are you up? And I could just see it on his face. And I remember I started getting to a point where I didn't want to get up because I'm like, I'm feeling, you know, intimidated by the fact that you are not approving of anything that I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
And then he sat me down during like our interim, like we would get interim grades, and so he would be checking in and saying like, this is the progress so far. He's like, you're not getting up and participating, and like lo and behold, I'm like, it's because I don't feel comfortable
Safe. Yeah.
getting up.
Mm-hmm.
So then I just started like, because I was like, I'm not going to get a C in this class. I'm like, we're going to get an A. Like I stopped looking at it as this is for my career. I just was like, I need to get a good grade. I
Yeah.
was in that old mindset of like in high school, like you just trying to get the
I
grade.
was too. I was
And
too.
so I was like, I want to get an A in this class. I don't care about improv. Maybe I'll never do it. Dumb. Like I'll never do improv again. Like acting and improv, what is that? They don't even combine together. Just so dumb. But then I was like, okay, I'm gonna get this A in this class. So I just started getting up. And I just started, and even if it was a dumb thing that I did, I just kept trying. And over time, I kept like trying to go for a laugh. And sometimes I would get it.
Mm,
And I realized in third semester when one of our Shakespeare teachers actually explained to us what improv was and that you could do it in Shakespeare
yeah.
in I was like, why didn't nobody say this? We've been with this other professor for 2 semesters. He
Yeah.
has not once said that improv is just really just being the character, unscripted.
Yeah.
That's it. It's not going for laughs. That's a different kind of improv. That's sketch comedy improv.
Yeah.
He never once explained that to me. And I was like, why? Why was that?
Yeah.
I've been struggling this whole time. If you just, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then again, it took all the way of me being out of school, being in a show where I had to be the comedic timing to understand that I could use this improv that I've learned with
Yeah.
this character that I finally released and was able to go like, I don't have a fear of improv anymore.
Mm.
But it was after graduating. It was after through the torture of this class.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But see, I was thinking about this with Alan Rickman because he was talking about how his acting teacher used to rip into him
Yeah.
about how he had a speech impediment. And that if it's funny to me to hear that now because Alan Rickman it was known for his voice.
Yeah.
Like obviously great actor, but his voice is what we love so much about Alan Rickman. Just the cadence and how he would talk, and sometimes it'd be slow and then fast, whatever it was. Like Die Hard, he was talking fast, and then like fast forward to Harry Potter, he's talking real slow. Like it's just we love the cadence of his voice. And I'm like, if he had listened to that professor, if I had listened to the what I was thinking the professor was thinking about me, I would never have gotten over my fear of improv.
Yeah.
And so I always tell people like when they're coming out of those acting schools is that yes, it's a good foundation and hopefully you had a great teacher, but if you had a teacher that did not instill any encouragement in you, it does not mean to not keep going. I don't know if you had a moment like that while you were in school, like maybe the teacher wasn't so encouraging, but then you just kept fighting through it.
No, I had a different experience where I was like, my junior year, my body like shut down. I did not, I had
Mm,
the same thing where there were certain professors where I just didn't feel safe. I knew that they didn't see in me what I wanted them to see in me. And I think my body was like, I'm just gonna go find my people. Like then these
mm,
aren't my people. And I ended up working with other acting coaches and other voice teachers and outside of the program. And I used to be very ashamed, like looking back, like, oh, I could have fought harder for this person to see this in me. And a lot of my other, colleagues had that energy of like, I'm going to fight for them to see how great I am. And I'm not going to be forgotten. I'm going to get cast in this show. And I was like, maybe I should have fought like that. But looking back now that there's been all of this separation, I'm so glad that I used that energy because I wasn't going to win. Now that I'm a teacher, you sprinkle seeds and you never really know which ones are going to grow. You don't know how you're impacting a student. You don't know how anything you say, positive or negative, is going to stick with them, and you try your best. You try not, hopefully if you're a good teacher, you try not to do harm. But for me, I was like, I don't think I'm going to get what I'm looking for here. And I chose to invest in other mentors. And I think I saved my brain and my heart a lot of time. And it's
mm,
also been more helpful being in the industry. Like I had a callback the other day, and the director, I was like, ooh, I don't know even if this goes well, like, because I'm just not having that connection. And I don't have to be like, no, like, even if this director is rough and might not have the same perspective on the character as I do, like, I'm gonna prove to them I'm the best for this part. And I don't have that energy at all. I have the energy of I'm gonna end up doing the projects that I'm meant to. I'm gonna end up working with people who believe in me, because again, this is a marathon, and there's so much stuff that happens behind the scenes just to get into the audition room, just to get into that rehearsal room, that I want to work with people, and I want to be able to easily identify people that really want me in the room and really do want to work with me.
mm. I love it. That the one thing I'm gonna take away from this whole conversation is it's a marathon.
Yes.
because I've heard that, and sometimes you need to be reminded of that over all the years you've, been involved in whatever capacity of this industry. And I thank you for,
Yeah.
yeah, sitting down with me and having this
Yeah,
conversation.
for sure.
I definitely want to bring you on again so we can talk about some other stuff
Yeah.
outside of just the acting school. But I feel like that's just the beginning part of the journey, is the training. And
Yes.
sometimes you learn more, like we've learned today, outside of our training.
Yes.
But we're grateful for it. Like she said, she gives it an 8 out of 10.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Irvine, for sure.
Yeah, it's a great program. Please continue to audition, and for any folks that are listening that are thinking about, I mean, their grad program is phenomenal. The Shakespeare training, the musical theater training, it's one of them. It's a more affordable option than a lot of other schools out there, and it's also a program that really supports and encourages your other interests outside of the performance arts world.
Right on. See,
Yeah.
they got a plug and everything from you.
Yeah.
They better put you down as the proud alumni.
I hope so. I mean, I'd love to, if I ever book Broadway, I'd love to come back and be like, hey, want me to do a workshop?
Yeah, seriously,
That's the
seriously.
dream.
So they will do that. They will do that for sure. Thank you so much, Sarah, for being on the show. I
Thank you
will
so
definitely be
much.
having you back on. I want to thank everyone for watching, and I will see you next time on About That Life.
Woo.
Bye.
Bye.